This is Base Ops, Patrick Air Force Base, Florida, March 1961. The Air Force cameramen are students in a new experiment, a television news film workshop. The faculty, selected by the Air Force, the National Press Photographers Association, and the Radio and Television News Directors Association, brought together a unique staff of specialists with backgrounds and experience covering nearly every phase of both local and network news film production.
News didn't come off the feed. Live shots didn't exist. Satellites could only beep. From the dark ages of television, a light, a refuge, the birth of something great.
Fantastic.
So long, 1960. Hello, tomorrow.
We do it like this.
Take a deep breath. You're done relaxing. It's time to get better. Hang on, it's time to meet your faculty for the 2004 News Video Workshop.
Hold up, before we get started.
Guess who's coming? Guess who's coming?
A week from now, when the light bulb goes on over your head, you're going to thank Daryl Barton for putting in a 500-watt halogen bulb. Meantime, you might curse his existence. We have. Daryl will give you an honest critique. You may not like it, but odds are he's right. His credentials were earned one tough shoot after the next. He's been making producers and correspondents look good longer than some of you have been alive. First in local, then for an alphabet soup of networks. He's the recipient of over 60 awards, including the NPPA's top honor, the Sprague Award. If you've seen 48 Hours on CBS, you've seen Bob Brandon's groundbreaking style. TV didn't look like this before Bob made it happen. President of Helical Post, he keeps one foot in news, the other in production.
Action.
That seat you're in, Bob sat there, or somewhere near you, back during the Summer of Love, 1969. America changed. So did Bob. He got better. So good, he's been on the faculty since 1974, and, oh yeah, a two-time NPPA Photographer of the Year. Best friends in life, philosophical partners, Bob and Daryl will teach. Be inattentive at your own peril.
Where the food is, is where the animals will be.
Is there food here?
Nope.
Good.
Nope.
No doubt you're a Bob Dotson admirer. We all are.
Back in 1986.
Perhaps the Today Show's most creative correspondent. He makes it look effortless. His travels have taken him to every state and filled his passport. As well as NBC, he's host of Bob Dotson's America on the Travel Channel. Bob's presentation alone is worth the price of coming.
No handheld. How many times I say I'm getting ill? Oh my God, I'm getting ill.
After this week, you'll only need a glimpse for you to correctly identify our next legend.
My God, I'm getting ill.
He gets close by setting up further away. But long lenses and wireless mics are just part of his toolkit. He's going to show you lots of tape, and then you'll understand why the amazingly creative Ray Farkas says it's not television, it is brain surgery. Need an attitude adjustment? Don't we all? John Gross will give it to you. He's been on the networks in Dallas, Detroit, and down on the farm.
Okay.
But his true passion is photojournalism. He stepped out of the spotlight and followed his dream. Twice a key part of KSTP's Station of the Year effort, John Gross will make your jaw drop. Can you get out the box? Kevin Hartfield can. He was making cool edits before they came on a computer disk. If it didn't exist, he innovated. He even used a weather computer to make an effect. A two-time NABJ Photographer of the Year, he's been influenced by the NPPA, but he's not afraid to break rules to get out the box.
Thieves have found a way to steal that number, reprogram other stolen phones, and make phone calls, all at your expense.
We all want to work with someone who makes our work better. Charles Hadlock is that person. He's now a main anchor, but they're smart enough to send him near and far to report on the big stories. Many of us wish we had his award shelf. There's a reason why this is his 17th year on the faculty.
Everything is going out. Everything is going as planned, yeah.
Charles Hadlock and this veteran faculty member, Jerry Hattan, used to be a team. Jerry Hattan has done it all. He's here, there, everywhere. Too many awards to mention. He counts 48 hours, 60 minutes, Frontline, and others among his clients. And they keep calling. He's the guy with the eye. You look to him to find the perfect composition. Here's a man who does it all, and does it well. He's launched many great careers, and ask him about nearly ending Daryl Barton's. A student here in 1966, he came back to join the faculty after winning Cameraman of the Year in 1973. For 39 years, Larry Hatteberg has brought his stunning brand of television to Kansas. He says it's time to get out of the business when you stop learning. This is his 41st year perfecting his craft. Practice craft, art happens. After winning Editor of the Year for the third time, the NPPA asked him to stop entering. He's got 2 national Emmys. You've seen his work on every NBC News program. Just some of the reasons the best in the business seek out John Hijack's edit booth at NBC.
Welcome to opening day in the National Football League.
From sports to news and news to sports, the NPPA has helped Jeff Imperial find the tools he needs to excel at both. He now runs the NFL Jacksonville Jaguars broadcast department.
Jeff Imperial just got a message sent to him by Pinkston on the sideline.
Scott Jensen may look all washed up.
When I moved here, I was trying to get away from the weather.
Last year's POI is far from it.
There's an ice storm that covered this whole door.
He thrived in the ultra-competitive Minneapolis market, earning the National Photographer of the Year title while at CARE.
I live in Oregon.
You might be asking about now
It rains here.
if he is smart enough to come out of the rain.
At least I don't have to shovel it.
KUSA in Denver has won NPPA Station of the Year 9 times. Eric Kay feels blessed to have been a small part of 7 of those titles. He is a 2-time Regional Photographer of the Year, and in 1996 won the national title. He's humble and attributes his success to KUSA's commitment to excellence. Don't just learn from his tape. Seek him out, and you tell me if he's not one of the most inspirational photographers working today.
For the latest on the investigation, here's John Larson.
NBC Dateline's John Larson has won every major television award, some of them 3 times. In fact, John is so good, he does a better intro than we do.
A correspondent for Dateline NBC, nationally recognized as an award-winning reporter and visual storyteller, a terrific writer, a nice guy, able to make his voice go very, very low and then bring it up very, very high, John Larson.
Think you got it hard? In a big city market, other photographers don't play well with those who use tripods and know about storytelling. Keep it in mind that Vince Munyon is celebrating 20 years as a television photojournalist. Currently a photographer and editor at WMAQ in Chicago, he keeps storytelling alive in a tough setting. So much so, Columbia College asked him to come aboard and pass on what he knows and how it gets done.
Ready or not, here I come, you can't hide.
Maybe you want to be Photographer of the Year. Jason Rhodes did it in 1999. If the path to becoming great is on your list,
I go this way.
Jason can help you get there. Returning for the 5th year, he's big on attitude and work ethic. The assignment desk doesn't care that he's a POI, and that's good, because as a general assignment photographer, Jason prides himself on acing the same-day story.
CBS cameraman Les Rose.
Les Rose has been everywhere, including the workshop, and he has the pictures to prove it. He cares about the story and not the technical stuff it takes to make it happen. Oh, he gets that right too, but it's all about the story. Les just loves life. Who wouldn't when you've got the best business partner in the world to call your friend? Meet Les's partner.
We travel too much.
Steve Hartman.
And this as a highly sophisticated piece of news gathering equipment.
He and Les produce the warmest, most human stories on TV. Steve's not only a great storyteller, but someone who knows so much about everyone else's job that they listen when he makes a suggestion. A correspondent for the CBS Evening News, a columnist for 60 Minutes too, and now the first network correspondent to teach the lighting seminar at the workshop.
So you got any ideas what I am?
This is the only time you'll see Mike Shue trying to look like a talking head. He prefers to be framed like this, holding the viewer's hand and taking them along for the journey. As you'll see, Mike's the man with the plan, and he's the proud owner of a really big studio microphone.
Good evening, and thanks.
Have you lost count of the number of live shots you've done? Ever, say, forgotten to look up when the mast is deploying? You won't after you meet Kimberly Arms Shirk. She's new to us this year, here to remind us of the importance of the phrase, look up and live. We'll share her story through the eyes of faith.
Without you, there'd be no story.
The blending of words and pictures being the heart of what we do.
I have always been fascinated with your ability to craft a story.
When a local reporter wins an Edward R. Murrow Award, that's something. Ask Greg Vandergrift about how he practiced his craft to have the skills to tell a great story. After working at small markets in Missouri and Illinois, he now works at one of TV's meccas, Minneapolis, and his game has no weakness. These pictures made America stop. They even, for a moment, brought last year's workshop to a standstill. His correspondent, David Bloom, died in the desert of Iraq. He carried on, capturing some of the most memorable images of the war, much of it while under fire. We welcome embedded journalist Craig White. Joshua Moranis owes his career to this workshop and its faculty. Bob Brandon hired him at Helico Post 5 years ago. Life hasn't been the same since. He's now the editor-to-see at the Fox O&O in Denver. Sometimes we call what's taught here the religion. Consider Joshua a convert. Next to Josh, Tim Underhill. He not only went to school at Ball State University, he returned there after a successful stint in TV news. He's now the electronic media coordinator for the university. And when you get a copy of the faculty video in a few weeks, thank Tim and Joshua.
National Press Photographers Association, keep up the good work.
Your co-director, Dave Wertheimer, borrowed a camera, scraped up the cash, and paid his own way to come shoot here at the workshop in 1987.
Yay, NPPA!
Daryl Barton hated his work. Then Dave showed him his barely working hand-me-down gear. His work changed. He now owns 70 awards, was part of 2 winning Station of the Year efforts, and recently was named a news director. And imagine this, you reporters. He goes out and shoots at least 1 package per week. The director of the 2004 NPPA workshop hails from Denver, Colorado. An award-winning photojournalist and editor, Sharon Levy-Fried was the senior instructor at Avid. She's now so sought after that she's hung out her own freelance shingle. A mother of 2, Sharon feels like her 3rd child is the workshop. She's a great mom, and trust us, she'll take care of you this week too. At points, this week is going to be too much. Sit back, soak it up, change your attitude. Welcome to the week that has changed lives.
Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life, you are only waiting for this moment to be free. Blackbird singing in the dead of night.
Christy Hooverock may be singing about blackbirds, but those are baby blue jays perched on her shoulder.
All your life, you are only waiting for this moment to be free.
A couple of weeks ago, neighbors cut a tree down. 2 newborn blue jays had no home. Christy became their mom.
I guess it was because of my mom. When I was a child, we would bring in every kind of stray animal ever and had lots of baby birds and tried to raise them. And They just carried on, I suppose. And you eat now. I will not cage them, ever. Oh, goodness. They can do what they want and go as they please. And they clean themselves and they enjoy a nice cool drink. You want some? Everybody can do this. Everybody can find their own type of relaxation. This just happens to be mine. I think they like it too. Do you? Do you like it? You do. You do. You do. You do. Peaceful and free.
It's amazing. You want to stay out there. It's perfect. There's nothing better.
This is Callie Peterson's life on the range at home in Marion County.
Here, here, here. Hip! Hip, hip, hip!
Welcome to the Marion County Fair and Rodeo, but this rodeo's a little different. It's all female, and Callie helped organize it.
I think people are so curious. You know, wow, can women really do that? But then I just like to laugh and say, well, you be there and watch then.
Callie's group is the Rafter P Ranch Rodeo Team, and this event is trailer loading. Sort out an animal and get it in the trailer.
Rodeo have been around for years, but this type of rodeo hasn't. It's new.
Now they're going to change cattle. We don't want to wear the cattle out.
2 minutes, ladies. 2 minutes. I am overwhelmed with the turnout. It's fabulous. We've got a lot of good teams here tonight.
As the smell of evening settled over the Hillsboro Fairgrounds, the calf branding event presented Callie's biggest challenge.
Get a hold of something and hang on tight and stay in the game. They want to see the rough and the tumble and the hard wrecks and the tough luck. You know, everything goes good, it gets kind of boring. We want to see the wild stuff. I didn't get hurt. Just knocked the air out of you. Could have been a lot worse. I bet there's girls out there that's more black and blue than I am.
For Callie Peterson, every day is a rodeo when you live on the Kansas Prairie.
I'm very lucky. Very lucky. I wouldn't trade it. I wish everybody would get a chance to see that perfection.
Let me show you quickly how my workflow works here in my work area at home. I have 4 computers all tied, networked together. I have this computer over here. This has Photoshop on it. If I need a still picture fixed for some reason that I'm going to be using in one of my video pieces, I just run the still picture here in Adobe Photoshop, do whatever I need to do to make it better, and then I can transfer it, network it directly into the Avid Express Pro. Right here is Adobe Audition software. It's an audio editing program that works in conjunction with the Avid Express Pro software. It's wonderful. I can do so much more with my audio with the Adobe Audition software than I ever could before. Right here, this computer, this is where I write my scripts. Makes it very easy. I can edit and write at the same time, which is the way I like to work. And then, of course, over here, my total editing system, the Avid Express Pro. Now, a lot of people are interested in technical details. Let me tell you, the Avid editing system is Avid Express Pro, the latest version. It is running on a Dell 650 workstation. I have 2 twin Xeon processors running at 3.2 gigahertz. I have 500 gig of memory separated on 2 hard drives. I'm running 2 flat screens, a screen for NTSC out. I have a DVD recorder that I can master on, or I can master on DV25 tape. And I also use the DVCam DSR25 for both inputting and recording onto. And I can also input anything from 3/4, beta, or VHS into my system should I need any file. And the best part, when the editing becomes difficult, I'm right next to a well-stocked bar. So it's not only the ideas that sometimes flow. For example, I walk into the room, and here is the old gentleman, and it's a cold day outside. It snowed in the past couple of days. Here he is standing by the stove, and he doesn't want to move. He's warming himself by the stove. He's a man of few words. He leads a simple life.
Yeah.
And he thinks that I'm basically going to do an interview with him. He doesn't understand that we have to have a lot of shots put together in order to tell a story. And he doesn't move fast, and he doesn't move often. And he really thinks about what he's going to say before he says it. So you have all of this stuff going against you. It's one man in a room. So what do you do? Well, this is when the photojournalist in you really has to come out. The thing that I do is I start looking around the room. I start looking to see what's in this room that I can help tell the story of this man's life. For example, we look over at the screen on the window. It's a screen that's been there a long time, and as you look out, you can look onto his property. And I'm thinking, you know, if I could do a very slow rack zoom, at least that's one little element of the story I might have. I also notice that on his windows are old yellowing lace curtains. This man also was getting older, like the curtains. He was yellowing with age. And so you can use that as a verbal and visual kickoff point sometimes. There's a plant over by the window. Could I work that into the story? On the wall, a picture of his family, also a picture of his homestead. Now, his wife had died earlier, so she wasn't part of the story at all. There's also a clock hanging on the wall with the seconds of this man's life ticking away. Those are little elements, those are little pieces of video that you can use to help tell a greater story. The problem is many photojournalists don't see these little pieces of video. All they see is just a big room and a guy standing there, and it looks real boring. You have to look past that. You have to start looking at the little tiny elements that are going to help you sell your story. By this time, the man still hasn't moved more than a half inch away from that stove. He's standing there looking at me with his hands clasped behind him. And so I decided, well, that's a good point. We'll just do a little interview there. And I got a couple of little tiny sound bites at that location.
It's home. I wouldn't know how to live anywhere else.
It was getting on to noon, and the old man was getting hungry, and he asked me if he minded if he got a bite to eat. And this particular man is a very precise man. He would, as he walked, he would walk precisely. He would seat himself in a precise manner, and he would eat in a precise manner. And when you ask him a question, he would pause a long time before he answered it.
I think people are putting too much emphasis on money anymore. They need to put it on God.
That's just the way he was. That's the way he lived his life. You see, he lived a measured life in a pace that never varied. So it's important for my story to reflect this man's life and the pace of life that this man lives. As he was sitting in the kitchen eating, I got a couple of sound bites from him. But more important, I noticed that as he was sitting there eating, perhaps the most powerful shot was from the back. Normally we think you want to be around in front of the person all the time. And even more powerful than that was the sound that was being recorded of him chewing his food. And remember, it is the camera that does the writing for you. It is the natural sound that does the writing for you, that helps put a person's life in perspective. And the camera, shooting from behind him in a reverse angle and listening to him eat, tells you a lot about this man's measured life, about his pace of life, and it gives you insight to the man's lifestyle, to the way he lives. And that's important. And he will come full circle. When he dies, he will die on the land he was born on. And that says something about his life, something about his lifestyle, and not many of us have an opportunity to have that happen in our life. This man does.
Quiet. Nobody to bother me.
He warms and waits for nothing in particular in a room of old lace, winter's harshness a fly screen away.
I just like to be out among nature.
Virgil Coleman has always waited in this room. He lives in the house he was born in 89 years ago.
Wouldn't know how to live anywhere else.
Last year, his wife of 55 years, Mary, died, leaving Virgil now alone with his constant cats.
Yeah, just me and the cats anymore.
Virgil lives his days in a measured pace. Change is foreign. Old is familiar. Everything in its place.
I like to live a simple life. People didn't live so fast when I was a child.
In Virgil's life, there has always been the farm.
I like to farm.
There has always been time.
Living too fast for me. I think people are putting too much emphasis on money anymore. They need to put it on God. On memories.
Virgil figures he'll come full circle on this land.
And telling everybody I was born here and going to be buried here. Yeah, there's been a lot of change. Nothing's hardly like it used to be.
On a bomber crew, the phonies bubble to the top pretty fast, and you learn that you have to depend on one another.
God bless America.
They came to remember. They came to celebrate. Most of all, they came to be with each other.
The time has come when we're not going to see one another again. We simply didn't do anything great. We just did what we thought we were supposed to do.
For men like Joe Hampton of the 444th Bomb Group, this Wichita reunion is bittersweet.
Age is creeping up on us. We get together and tell stories and laugh and talk, and we'll get a great charge out of it.
The B-29 was singled out for the job of bringing Japan to her knees. A final briefing made all the details crystal clear. Tokyo's fate was sealed as the pilots received their last-minute instructions.
It's an honor to serve I was very proud of my service, and I have contempt for people who say, well, I had bad teeth, and my top gunner, Everett Quarters, didn't have a tooth in his head. He said he was good as any damn man. You just get a kick out of seeing them old friends. We simply, all of us, didn't think we were doing anything extra. You put in their head to been there to really understand that.
God bless America, my home, sweet home.
That's right, I cry when that flag goes by yet.
Our photo staff took up that challenge. These are everyday live shots where the photo staff made a huge difference by going the extra mile. In daylight, they added fill light. In some cases, just a simple reflector. At night, significant lighting was added to enhance the live shots. Yes, it does take more time, but the results say, I'm a professional.
Dating back nearly 10 years, Kara?
That's right, and it all is because of a system called CODIS. It is a DNA indexing system.
Does it make a difference? Well, take a look at this morning show triple box. One of the field boxes well lit, the other just thrown together. Side-by-side difference is striking. Inside, our photojournalists do take pride in their work. They know their camera can shoot in available light, but when time permits, great lighting wins every time. Good lighting makes the difference between amateurs and professionals. How many of you are amateurs in your lighting? Also remember, great reporters want to work with great photojournalists. Great reporters know that no matter how good they are, the work of the photojournalist will either make them or break them. On Hatteberg's people, most of us don't think about harps. We associate those with angels and other ethereal moments. But Kansan Tabitha Rice has made this unusual instrument her life, and critics are taking notice.
Hi, this is Tabitha from the Wichita Grand Opera. How are you?
Tabitha Rice works for the Wichita Grand Opera. She is assistant to Parvan Bakardian, the man who makes the opera happen.
Okay, where is it going to be? I'm learning a lot, and I feel very fortunate to be working in the arts, especially the music.
But she is so much more.
Most of my day is spent, in an office, and then I come home, and the last thing I want to do is work some more.
Tabitha is also principal harpist for the opera, and on her own is making a name for herself with her music.
The harp for me comes very naturally. I think the harp chose me more than I chose the harp as an instrument, and the love for the instrument comes naturally. It's neat how the string just fits right into a groove into your finger, and it's just a great feeling.
Tabitha has been practicing with the harp since she was 8. This is her master's recital at the conclusion of her Master of Music degree at the Peabody Conservatory at Johns Hopkins University.
Playing the harp for me means joy. I started harp on my 8th birthday, and at the time, I thought, what a horrible way to spend my birthday, and it's grown into the biggest blessing that's been in my life.
Since then, this quietly talented young woman has performed with the Dayton Symphony and the Kansas City Philharmonic. There, a reviewer for the Kansas City Star called her performance some of the most precise and beautifully inflected harp playing he had heard in years.
It feels good to have someone write something great about you. You never play as good in public as you do at home by yourself, and you think to yourself, well, if only he would have heard me play like I did at home by myself, what would he have said then?
Now, working with the Wichita Grand Opera, Tabitha feels fortunate to have a job in the arts and fortunate to be in Wichita.
Great. I'm very grateful for it, and I am very lucky to be a part of it, and it's this exciting, growing opera in Wichita, Kansas. I was born and raised in Kansas, and I feel very lucky to be doing music in my home state.
On Hatteberg's People, Donna Tucker is a well-kept Wichita musical secret. This woman of jazz makes her mark in other parts of the world, yet in Wichita remains low-key.
Is the place full? Pretty full?
It's full of me. At Cabaret Old Town recently, they were waiting for this woman, Donna Tucker.
Be a friend to a friend who's crying. How will I know? What will I see? Tell me when I get there.
She is an internationally renowned jazz artist, known in Japan, Dallas, and other venues. But here, where she lives, she's nearly invisible.
Yes, I was probably testing the water to see if Wichita would be receptive to what I do.
Donna Tucker, ladies and gentlemen.
Come on and cry me a river. I cried a river over you.
I want people to come to my performance and feel that they're in my living room.
Nearly drove me out of my head.
Overseas in Japan, she plays 4 months at a time at the Tokyo Westin Hotel. Her office there comes with a view.
The Japanese love American jazz. They're a very, very wonderful audience.
For 20 years, she lived in Dallas, where she had a great following at Arthur's Jazz Club and on TV.
This is kind of like getting to play dress up every time you work. There's really not anything in this business that I don't enjoy doing.
Then, 15 years ago, a bad thing happened.
I was robbed and injured in my home in Dallas. My husband found me handcuffed to a pillar in our bedroom, and it was a long time of recovery, emotionally.
So because of that, and the fact that this Oberlin native missed Kansas, Donna came back.
There's something about Midwestern people that you don't find in other places of the world. When you go home, you really go home.
Well, I might take a train, might take a plane. If I'm on a walk, I wanna do the same. Gonna Kansas City, here I come.
For the past decade, she's worked on and off in Japan, but lived in Wichita, quietly producing concerts for others while she remained in the background.
Pitch on day by day, F sharp.
Now, with one Wichita concert under her belt and working with the new Savoy Band, it just might be time for Donna Tucker to get back into the spotlight.
Your golden sun will shine for me.
My music's who I am. I often have said, in fact, in the last few years, I'm going to get out of this business. I'm not going to do this anymore. And people look at me and say, but it's who you are.
Yeah, I've been called a B-man. I've been called a guy without any fear, and I've been called a guy that's crazy for doing this. I've had bees now for working with them for over 50 years.
In a backyard where nature feels at home, so does Reuben Schubach.
A bee don't learn anything from people. People learn from the bees. They're teaching you, you're not teaching them anything.
This is Reuben's public side, the bees, the honey.
I'm lucky to be alive, and I thank God every morning that I wake up that He let me wake up.
But there is more to this caring man's life than what is outside. Inside, Zelma, his wife of 65 years.
I fix her toast, and then she feeds herself. Anyone that has an opportunity to take care of someone, do it with pleasure, do it because you want to.
Married nearly 65 years and not one day of regret.
Preacher says, in sickness and in health. It's something that needs to be done and something that I want to do. And that says all of it right there. But there's very few people can adapt themselves to taking care of a human being for some reason or other. They take care of their dogs and their cats, but when it comes to human, they have no idea what to do.
Reuben knows, and every day, with a gentle touch, he's there.
Everyone is entitled to live as long as there's life in their body.
For Reuben Schubach, his life is natural. Like the bees, he knows what he is supposed to do.
I don't have to look back and wonder what I've did with all my life. I know what I've did. I find it's real rewarding because I'm doing something for somebody else instead of just myself.
You know, before all presentations at the workshop, everybody in the big room gets made up. Right, Bob? Right, Daryl? Anticipating what the person's doing next. Action, reaction. Last shot, next shot. Repetitive action. Easy to cut to all the time. The important thing about axis, notice that the camera stays along that side. So the line that you can't cross is with my nose. Can't cross this line. Notice how my nose is screen left and Julie, the wonderful Julie, is screen right. So our line between us is right here. You can't cross this line for screen direction purposes. If we did it, it'd look like we're talking to somebody else and not to each other, because Julie's nose is screen left now. So it makes it very confusing to the viewer at home. Dave is screen left.
Screen right.
Screen left. Screen left. Screen right.
Screen right.
Screen left.
No, screen right.
No, screen left. Using super tight shots as our transition. Take the viewer so tight they can taste the makeup. With our Bulldog reporter, we're going to talk about wide,